Good morning, and welcome to the OK Grognard Show. Today is Tuesday, May 26, 2020, 9:30 a.m. Central in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Red Barn Games is in the house. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. It's Cartography and Worldbuilding Day, and I thought, since I made some use of it over the weekend, the village of Laidlaw, I thought, I should maybe cement some things. If I'm going to share this at some point, I should make it more detailed. I always like, when I'm running games, generally speaking, I like to have locations, not so much that are fluid, but perhaps are at least adaptable to whatever gaming situation, whatever decisions, left turns, right turns, the players make. If they're looking for a butcher shop, well, yeah, there should be a butcher shop in almost any village, or at least somebody that butchers meat who is skilled at that. Not everybody everywhere knows how to do that or do it well. And that's kind of the thing, right? If you're a frontiers person and you have to be self-sufficient by virtue of your location and the talents and skills that are not available because no one else is around, you've got to be able to do that sort of stuff yourself. You've got to be able to hunt, fish. You've got to be able to gather. And once you've gotten hold of some game, whether it's a rabbit from a snare or a couple of squirrels you've taken down with sling bullets, you need to be able to butcher these animals to get the, dare I say it, lion's share of the meat and other resources, because can't waste a thing. Those tendons and sinews become cords and whatnot to create more snares and fishing line and traps, and you need to be able to utilize every bit. Those furs you're getting off of these animals need to be put to good use. Everything. You've got to get the marrow from the bones in some cases, right down to it. Boil some of that stuff down and make other useful products. And if you don't know how to do all that stuff yourself, you better live in a community where there are other people who can. And that's why villages are villages, because communities come together so that people can become expert in specific skills and allow others to become experts in others, and to pool their accumulated, more expert and efficient knowledge and talents so that they can be greater than the sum of their parts. So if I butcher meat on the regular, yeah, I'm going to get pretty good at butchering meat on the regular. If I do nothing but butcher meat, I'm going to get really good at butchering meat. So if I'm in a village and everybody's bringing me their game, or bringing me their sheep, their cows, their pigs to butcher for them, I'm going to get good. And when I get good, I get more efficient. I get faster. When I do it more often, I get faster. Good morning, Grail Knight. How are you? And that's the goal, is for everybody that's in a village to become more expert at the individual skills and talents they bring to the village, to the table, and for everyone in the village to benefit from being part of that. So when we're looking at a village like Laidlaw, and we're trying to figure out what's in it, we'll just use a notepad for now. We've got to figure out what do we think are the most essential, because we've only got so much room here. And certainly you're not going to have high-end luxury, a high-end luxury goods store here on a border town, and I should explain that this is on a border town. It is wilderness south of the river, southeast of the river. You've got a long way to go to the east along the road and a long way to go to the west along the road. A couple of weeks in either direction before you get to any sort of town that's significantly larger. You've got other villages here and there, but if you're looking for a big place, a big city, whatever, it's a long ways away. Probably the closest is Coal Wings Coves, a couple of weeks to the west. It's a port town. But what we're talking about is this little village of Laidlaw here. And because you don't have a lot of traffic that would be interested in 3,000 gold piece necklaces, you've got to understand that you're probably not going to find that sort of thing here in Laidlaw. So what are we looking at? Well, I think we've got to think in terms of, to use a very popular current phrase, essential workers. Let's say essential businesses or skills. So what do we need? Well, we mentioned a butcher. We definitely need somebody that can butcher meat. We need somebody that can turn hides and whatnot into useful garments, furs. Got to have a, what else do we need? What do you think? We need a blacksmith, right? Every village needs a blacksmith. Might not need an armorer or a weaponsmith, but a baseline blacksmith, somebody to shoe horses and that sort of thing. Well, you need carpenters, right? Gotta have that. I'm thinking tanner or furrier. Yeah, we got a tanner. Yeah, let's add furrier there as a alternate name or a similar name. I think we wanted to think in terms of, well, you're going to have taverns, aren't you? Tavern, brewer, winemaker. This will be a kind of a dependent on region sort of things, right? Well, if anybody's going to be putting stone up, you're going to need masons, right? And maybe you need to decide if you have a local quarry if you're working with lots of stone. Now this is a this particular village has got a stockade fence around it, and most of the structures are wood, and one of their main exports comes from the woodcutters, the lumberjacks, across the river to the south, of which there are several. So we'll just throw that on there because that's something I definitely use in games here. I think we've got to assume that there aren't enough, probably not enough buildings to have some people that specialize in specific aspects of. So I don't think you have a whole business dedicated to roofing. Trapper's good for sure. And what about making ropes? Is that too specific? Let's add rope maker and we'll see if there's room for it. Because ultimately, once we get this list, leather worker maybe, somebody who takes the leather and does something more with it. That's a skill, and it's one you really need to have. Because if you're gonna wear clothing that isn't just cloth, if you're gonna have belts, scabbards, and you're carrying a knife, you're gonna have to have a scabbard, right? If you're gonna have straps, harnesses, that sort of thing, you're definitely gonna need somebody who can be a leather worker. I think it's a specific enough skill that having a cobbler probably pretty important. Just about everybody cooks, but do you need a chef? You need somebody who's that focused, that detailed? I don't think so. Tailor? Maybe, right? Since we got cobblers, tailors, somebody who can actually take cloth. Cloth maker? Weavers? Are these all too specific? I don't know. Maybe. What about, do we get to the point in a village this size that there's much call for professional artists? Certainly artisans. I mean, most of what we're talking about are crafts here that would be considered artisanal, I suppose. But artists like sculptors, painters, I don't know that this town supports the arts at that level, at that professional level. Sure, there's going to be some people in this village that have aspirations or at least hobbies or used as an outlet when they're not busy with maybe the butcher is a writer of songs. Weavers, cloth makers, yep, we get those on there for sure. And what about, we've got carpenters, but do we take that a step further? Do we look at furniture makers? Do we look at cabinetry? I don't know. We've got a number of, we can just leave that for now. Now, of course, on the outskirts, we're going to have farmers, ranchers, famerer. Ah, I did it again. Farmer, here we go. All right. We're going to have, we can use all sorts of phrases here. Herdsmen, shepherds. Yeah. What else? What other sort of... Looking at the map, local political center. Okay. Regional governor's town. The walled mansion on the hill overlooking the river and the lowlands. Yeah, I've been using this as a glorified longhouse that's known as a keep. There's a count that oversees the town and has a strong interest in the lumber camps across the river to the south. This is a way station for those. So the lumber camps have their own followers. Of course, you've got lumberjacks, you've got tree fellers, you've got woodcutters. You also have some that are at the camp turning some of this, at least, millers, turning some of this into lumber right away, but mostly they're sending the trunks back to be cut up. So we need to have a number of people here that are turning those trees into actual wood lumber for use in building. Otherwise, why be here? So this count has an interest in that and makes his money and, of course, derives his power from being in control of the primary resource that brings wealth to the town. He's got his finger on the pulse and his hand on the spigot when it comes to all that. So that is the main reason the village is here in the first place. There are stands of trees to the south of the river that are particularly choice as lumber. Rather than strip the rest of the kingdoms for what little is left, you're looking for stands of trees that you can, I don't want to say clear cut, that's such a modern term, but they definitely work an area over before they, oh, dude, Silent Willow. Hey, thanks for chiming in there. I saw the comment. I didn't pick up on the fact that it was a new person chiming in. I'm going to add you into the potential drawing for the next week. Let me just mention real quick, if you are a follower of the channel here and you do chime in during a live stream in the stream chat, you're automatically entered into a potential drawing. Coming up next week is going to be this somebody this week who chimes in and is a follower is going to win a DVD copy of Antonio Banderas' 13th Warrior. It's a great gamer movie. If you haven't seen it, shame on you. If you have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's really wonderful. It's a random drawing that we do on Monday from people that have chimed into the stream chat that are followers from the previous week. And then we'll get in touch with you, get an address. If you're in the 48 states, I'll just send it out. I will deal with the postage myself. If you are outside of the 48 states, well then I may ask you to pitch in on the shipping costs depending on what it is. So then at that point you could decide, hey, I've already got 3 copies of the 13th Warrior and I'm in Guam. I don't want to pay $100 to have a DVD shipped here that's only good in other regions and I can't even watch it anyway. Thank you very much. I'll pass. Let someone else have this week's win. So that's fine too. So where are we at with this? We've got now, of course, they're going to be, you know what? There's going to be lots of laborers There are going to be, I'm going to put it down, ditch diggers. Although, quite frankly, probably when a ditch needs digging, anybody who's around, because it's a quote-unquote unskilled labor, you're going to have anybody who needs to do it, right? What about, what's a specific skill to farming that a lot of people underestimate? It's being a plowman. Being able to handle a plow. I'm not sure if there's a degendered term for plowman, but if there is one, I'll find it somewhere. Plow worker, plow guider, plow steerer. I don't know, but that's what we're looking at. We should put down sheep shearer, huh? That's something that needs to be done on the regular. What about tiller? Maybe that's the term we want to use. I don't know. I'll have to look it up and see how specific that is. We have shepherds. We should probably have goat herder, ox herder, right? I think we've got rancher up above. I suppose we should probably just throw cow herder. I'm not sure. I don't think you need the ER. I think a cow herd, if it's one word, refers much like shepherd to somebody who is doing the act of herding. The verbiage. What do we got? Some of these kind of crafter sort of some of these crafters sort of things are probably skills that are, once you get to a certain size town, and I don't think this is big enough, you'll have laundries crop up. People that do nothing but other people's laundries. It's easier to have one person do all the clothes cleaning who has a setup for it. Somebody maybe out on the river, right? Here, can we see my cursor in the lower left? Somebody out there who is set up to utilize existing sources to and hey, there's another thing. You will definitely have, pretty early on in a village's life, a baker. Somebody who's doing nothing but making bread every day, right? Somebody who is making bread for the entire village. Because it's a time-intensive, if you're not set up, if you don't have the big oven, right? You can make bread every day or every other day, whatever it takes. Sometimes loaves can last 2 or 3 days, depending on the size of the household, right? Right. What about cartwrights? Cartwright, wheelwright. You're definitely going to have vehicles here, so you're going to need those sorts of things. I'm going to do a separate line here for wagoneer, and we'll also include teamsters, people that can handle those vehicles. Somebody's bringing the lumber in, right? What about? I don't know that we have stuff at a level such as dedicated soap makers or chandlers, people in charge of candle makers. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to throw candle maker on here. I don't know that you have somebody who's dedicated to selling them like a chandler, but somebody who's dedicated to making them, yeah, that's a for sure sort of thing. Um, get a little more specific with some of these things. Do we have musicians? Is that a sideline for people? I think, um, there's a skill, and this town is mostly wood construction, but there are going to be some things for which you need stone construction. And when you need that, you need somebody who is a skilled stone cutter. We've got mason up above, somebody who can put the stuff together after it's been cut. And we've got the quarrier getting out the unfinished rough cut stones is one thing, but really cutting stones precisely without ruining 2 out of every 3, that's got to be, because cracking them, you've really got to know what you're doing to do that right. What about other kinds of smiths? We've got blacksmiths. Do we maybe have some things that are burgeoning? There's an idea that if there are going to be adventurers coming through town, you're going to need certain skills that are useful for them, or at least useful adjacent. So if they're bringing money into town, if they're bringing treasures into the town and want to offload them for usable coin, you're going to need somebody that can assess them. Do you take an old silver platter that you pull out of a abandoned castle to a blacksmith and say, hey, what do you give me for it? I don't think so. You almost need somebody a little more skilled, like a silversmith, somebody who can assess something like that, can value it, and has the resources to pass something like that along. I don't know if we're at a level with this town yet, but I'm going to add, you know what, I'm going to put it way up top with blacksmith. I made a hole for it. Silversmith / goldsmith. Could be somebody, could be one person who's one and the same. Sometimes you wear a few different hats and the hats look very similar to one another. Well, we're up here. Weaponsmith, armorer, we're going to throw those on there. We're going to say Boyer, Fletcher. Some of these things you're going to need just to have hunters supplied. Not every hunter has the skills to make his own arrows or make them well enough that they don't fail. Nothing worse, right? When you out in the woods all that time and you get one shot at a deer that's going to feed 3 or 4 households over the course of the next week, and your fletching goes bad. You pull that arrow out, you don't realize it, you fire, you take the shot, and next thing you know, your arrow goes left when it's supposed to go right, you miss the shot, off goes the deer, and you've wasted a day hunting. Not a good thing. So yeah, pretty soon you're going to have people that are especially good at making arrows, especially good at making bows, that make bow strings that don't snap every time you're out hunting. You don't want that sort of thing. You've got to make sure you have the skills, or somebody with the skills who can put that stuff together for you. Well, I'll tell you what, we've got a good starter list here. I'm sure there are things that I've missed on there for now. We can get back to this Oh, just popped into my head. Herbalist, for sure, right? I think we definitely have to have somebody who can be the go-between between almost medicine, spices for foods, right? Yeah, all of that stuff. Anyway, I think we're just about out of time, so I'm going to say thank you to our new person, Silent Willow. Make sure you've followed the channel. Grail Knight, Red Barton Games, thank you both for popping in. Like I say, follow the channel, chime in during the stream chat. You'll be automatically entered into the weekly drawing for various goods, various prizes. This week, a DVD of the 13th Warriors up for grabs. If you're on the YouTube channel watching this, please do subscribe and give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I prefer a thumbs up, but thumbs down, whatever is feedback, and I appreciate it in any which way. So thank you all very much. You have a great day, and we'll be back. Well, wait a minute. Let's have a quick look before we go. Let's have a quick look at the schedule. Tomorrow, Grimwald discussion, campaign discussion. We'll be talking about various things. Maybe we'll keep going on this. I know it's more of a world-building exercise, but we can talk about some of the details behind the decisions we make for sure. So they kind of go hand in hand. So maybe we'll jump right back in with this. And Thursday, crafting painting, still working on those catapults. We'll see how far along we've gotten, and we will continue with those. Building virtual tabletop adventures on Friday. We've got a DM's perspective on a animated short on Saturday. We're jumping in this week with Conan the Adventurer animated series, episode 1. That'll be fun. Rules retrospective on Sunday. We're continuing with DM Prada's 2006 version 2.2 Initiative and Combat for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. It only goes source-wise up through 86 with the Wilderness Survival Guide, so you know it's meant to be first edition. Keep that in mind when you're listening to it. We'll be back around with the weekly news and the giveaway next Monday, and then we've come full circle. I want to thank everybody once again for popping in, and let's just say stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside if you can stand it, but go for walks. Enjoy the weather when it's nice. Just keep your distance from people and, no open mouth kissing with strangers, huh? All right, there you go. I said it. I meant it. Have a great week. If I don't see you, have a great tomorrow. If I see you then, bye-bye.